I know it's been a while, guys. I'm truly sorry for that, but private life stuff still happening, and I hopefully have more time in the future to be more up to date with stuff, but it's finally time to update the tier list. And this time I'm actually going to make a bigger update, so it should include all the units for this month as well as the units for next month. Without further ado, let's get right into this, and thanks Turkey for the sub. I decided to be a little bit smart here and actually put all the units that we are going to rank today in the neutral tier. Don't worry, only Kazuma will stay there, everyone else should be moved around. And here are the units that we need to rank. First up, we of course still have the Shield Hero collaboration with Raphtalia, Aqua, Naofumi, Raphtalia, and Fes Komekko. We have the still current banner with Lolisa. I'm going to talk a bit about her in a replacement for the banner guide. Then we have Onsen Iris coming up. Then we have Fes Komekko with Detective Yunyun and Mia. Afterwards, we have the first swimsuit banner with Swimsuit Darkness and Forbidden Chris. I know a lot of you waiting for that. Then we have Swimsuit Lia and the new playable unit Zesta. And after that, the last swimsuit banner that we are covering here is Swimsuit Claire. And I think we just go by release order. So we are starting here with the Shield Hero collaborations, and I think ranking them is pretty easy. We're starting off here with Aqua, and I'm putting here in the good units if you're liking meta units. She can still do decent damage, like her damage is pretty good. She still has fast Aqua's kit without the healing and her ulti, so it's a little bit harder to use her, but if you're lacking specific wind units, I still think you can use her to somewhat great success, especially in a physical team. Like, the coloration kind of was screwed because we had a hybrid arena and you saw we mostly used fire units actually. So in a pure physical wind arena, I think Aqua right now could still work great, even compared to Fast Dust. But of course, I still think Fast Dust will probably end victorious in the end. So that's why she's in that tier. Naofumi is a pretty gimmicky character. I'm also putting him here in the good units if you're liking meta units tier. He has a rash red, which is nice. He has a speed boost. His cat is not bad per se. He can also be make your team tanky, at least versus wind enemies, right? He still has his use case, but I don't think he will be meta defining or anything like that. So if you have him, that's good. You can potentially use it, but I would not recommend using him over the other strong fire units that we're having. Next one, also pretty simple, Raphtalia. Same as Naofumi. We have two other light speed boost providers. First up, we of course now have Claire, which we talked about it before. She has a little bit less damage, but more team buffs compared to Raphtalia. She's just besides the gauge up and speed boost, pure selfish with the evasion buff. So I think in the end, Claire is just a better physical speed boost provider in light. And of course, for the magical side, we still have Halloween Aura going strong, still being a great unit. So if you have neither of those, or if you need a physical speed boost provider and you have Raphtalia and not Claire, you can use her, but she's not the meta unit that we kind of expected. Komekko, plain and simple, she's just a sub, let's be real here. She's great for the 50% gauge up that she can provide, but her kit is so weird to use with both skills consuming gauge to be used. It's just not worth it. So I think just keeping her as up is the best thing you can do. Now, finally, to a more up-to-date unit, Detective Lolisa. And you might be surprised by that, but I'm actually putting her in the meta tier. I know, crazy, but hear me out. We are getting in a time where this tier list will not make sense in all the contexts. With that, what I mean, we have AoE arenas, like for example, today's Monday, today's light arena, and we have single target arenas. And this Lolisa is so great in a physical light team. Together with, for example, Fes, Iris, and Claire, you can do a lot, and I mean a lot AoE damage. She's really strong, and having her is such a great pickup, not gonna lie. Also, keep in mind, it's Lolisa. She has great ultis. She can be a physical and magical buffer. But since first skill lowers the enemy's defense and the second skill is, I think, 6 seconds of CDR, she of course works best with physical units, but of course the CDR can still work in theory with mage units. But I think we have enough strong mage teams that she's not really used in the mage team, so I'm kind of between meta units on element and strong. You know what, I think I put it down to the strong unit here. I am working currently on a new updated GP elemental tier list, and once that's done, I'm going to also make the global elemental tier list, which also has separations between, you know, single target arenas, AoE arenas. Everything will be split there. So if you are, for example, okay, current arena is physical water, you can just go to the elemental tier list, go to the water tab, look at the physical light side, look at the AoE versus single target side, and just based on that, hopefully be able to make a proper team. That will be the dream goal. But of course, you can imagine that's just a lot of work. And I made the Encyclopedia for that. Be able to put more time into it. That is, of course, the dream goal here, to get a support, potentially even if Patreon in the future, we'll see. But just the option to, in the future, make more with the Encyclopedia, keep it more often up to date would be the dream. So if you want to use the Encyclopedia more often and especially have it up to date in the future, maybe like, subscribe, and, you know, go to the Ko-fi page to support the Encyclopedia directly. Of course, you can also just use donors and stuff like that, or subscribe on Twitch, or become a member on YouTube to get awesome benefits like a custom Discord role, shoutouts in the end of video, and a lot more. Okay, that was a little bit of a detour, sorry for that, but I need to get it out here since we don't have sponsors that I could place in the middle of the video, right? Let's continue with the next unit. And that is Onsen Iris. And I also need to talk a little bit more about her here, because with Onsen Iris, we are actually getting a new type of skill. She has a new skill called Echo Skill. And they work pretty straightforward. You do an initial damage, and 70% of that damage gets stored. And over the next 12 seconds, every 5 seconds, you will deal 70% of the initial damage. The second damage instance cannot be buffed by any way, so doesn't matter if the enemy then no longer has Rash Red, doesn't matter if units have now a physical attack buff, it will take the initial value and apply that 70% for the bonus 2 hits. And again, it lasts for 12 seconds, every 5 seconds means 2 bonus instances of that damage. This also, of course, means that crits matter even more, because 70% damage of a crit is still higher than 70% damage of a non-crit, right? And in theory, Echo can be really strong. If I remember correctly, this Iris Sally wasn't it. I still think she's a decent unit. But of course, same with Lolisa, she's a permanent unit, so it's easy skip. Trust me, easy skip. Even more than Lolisa, I actually think using 4-star tickets for Lolisa, if you haven't already, is not a bad idea. I think right now using 4-star tickets is a pretty good idea. I am saving them for Detective Yunyun because I'm a Yunyun simp, but if you have 4-star tickets, you know, use them. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Let me see. Yunyun, Iris, there it is. So we're putting her in a good units if you're liking meta units, because again, I think we used her once. That's it. Maybe she will get more use in the global side with no accelerator, but I just don't see her being that great. Next one, Fes Komekko, and she's just kinda the better Fes Megumin, if that makes sense. Sure, they have a different type of role, with Megumin being mostly there to explode and do damage, but Komekko's damage is pretty good. She has, of course, her ulti 2 to deal pretty decent fire damage and also slow the enemy down if needed, which means you can potentially get away with like not running a healer. Komekko has a double hit that provides herself with a tier 1 magic attack buff. She has a single target with a debuff condition that provides a party tier 1 EX fire damage boost. Again, EX. so it can work with auto fire damage buffers, which is really good, aka Funidodo. And her basic provides her with 10% self Gacha, which is pretty good. Her passive traits also just straight up boosts magic attack by 9%, no conditions, no anything, so she's a great sub for all other Komekkos, which, to be honest, we only have one Komekko that's kind of worth using, which is Detektive Komekko. But she's also a great main unit because she can do a lot of damage. I mean, her double hit is 185% and her single target skill is a 194 damage multiplier. So pretty high damage numbers. The only thing she kind of needs is more CDR. And we are getting future units that work great with her. And while I would love to rank her in the meta tier, I actually put her up there. I think I put her up here. With that, I actually move Fes Megumi down by a tier. She still can be used. She still is a great come in, explode, be out kind of deal. But in the same time, a main team of just like Funidodo, Komekko, and the upcoming Yunyun that we're talking about in a second is such a solid core that I'm not really sure if the Megumi gauge consumption is really worth it for the team. Speaking of Yunyun, she is the next one on our list, and we really lacked strong fire units in the tier up here. Like, for the longest time we just had Fes Megumi there. Now we got Funidodo in there, but you know, not a lot of strong fire units. And with this banner, we actually get some pretty POC fire stuff. The one thing I need to mention here about Yunyun is that I think in roughly 3 months after her banner here, there will be another Yunyun banner, aka Forbidden Yunyun, which will also be a fire unit and just replaces this Yunyun at all. But I'm still going to talk about her because until that point, she is still a really solid fire unit. The first skill is a random double hit that deals 206% damage 2 times, 206% damage, which is pretty good. Her second skill provides your whole team with 20% party gauge charge and a 149% multiplier. And of course, she has her normal basic. So in a team with her and Funidodo, you already have 40% party gauge charge. Komekko can even increase that with her basics for herself at least. You know, you get to ult pretty often, and that's great for Funidodo to just keep the rush rate up. It's somewhat great for Yunyun because it will easily allow you to have your ultis up, and if you, for example, slot in a Komekko there, she can spam her ulti, do a lot of damage with that, slow the enemy down so you don't take much damage. It just works great. Again, she will get replaced, so she will get ranked down sooner than later. But until then, she's a great pickup, so if you summon for Fes Komekko, there's a great chance you also get Yunyun. If not, keep in mind detective units are also permanent units, so you can just use your 4-star tickets to hopefully snack that Yunyun. Komekko is number 1 in your heart, that's nice. You know what? As much as I want to keep Yunyun up there, I actually think I put her down to the strong units just to emphasize that she will fall off sooner than later. And I don't think she's that much better than Detective Lolisa. Actually, Detective Lolisa has a stronger staying power, so I could make more points of keeping Detective Lolisa up in the meta units on tier. So for now, I think we just put her in a fire team again. Maybe when I drop the tier list, I move stuff around, but for now, I think that's a fair placement. I think that's a fair placement. If the 4-star Tracksuit Kazuma was a fizz and debuff bonus passive, nothing else would be a good Kazuma sub. I mean, he has his own keys. Again, people ask me for it, so I'm going to explain in this video again. The neutral tier is reserved for this Kazuma only for a specific reason. He's a neutral unit. And while it has some good effects, it also, of course, has some negative effects. Good effects is you will never be hit super effective. You will never be resisted by an enemy, so you can always do the same consistent amount of damage and work great specific in other game modes besides arena, like just normal story and X arena. The bad thing though is, since you cannot hit non-super effective, you can also not hit super effective. And let's be real here, in arena, you 99.999% want to have on element units, or the off element unit needs to provide so much utility support, like for example fast crits and stuff like that, that it's worth to run that unit off element. And this Kazuma works great with other neutral units because he boosts neutral damage, but doesn't work great with all the other elements. So he has just like no team and no place in normal arena where you will ever use him. But in the same time, I don't think it's fair to say he's worse than a sub or he's just a sub, because in the right condition, especially if you have the right teammates, which we don't have in global right now, he can actually be pretty solid. I know for a fact there's like a team out there with the both Swimsuit Darkness and Kazuma, where you just do a lot of neutral damage, provide one other unit in there that is on element, and you know, maybe provide some speed and stuff like that, and you can just go hard. You don't need rash crit since it's mostly neutral damage anyway. Darkness can hit for a lot of damage, Kazuma can hit with a lot of damage, the third unit can hit with a lot of damage, and it's most of the time good enough to be top 1k, which is pretty good, I would say. So I don't think it's fair to put him in a different tier. That's why he has a separate neutral tier, and again, the other units are just here for me to easier move them around. Next one is Mia, and Mia sadly has kind of a curse on her, I feel like, where Sums Up just decided to make all Mias somehow just meh. And to kind of fix that, they pretty much just give all the Mias either just a speed boost or like a buffing skill that in theory is good, but just is not enough to make the Mia great, which is really sad. We did not have a good Mia for such a long time, and sadly in the near future we are not getting any good Mia. So our only hope is fast Mia. When? Please? How does Claire get a fast unit before Mia and Amy? I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway, let's talk about the kid real quick and why she's potentially even worse than the Ainu Mia, because both are of course fire units. And here's the thing. She has an AoE physical attack skill with an HP condition to deal 137% damage and provide a party tier 2 agility boost. Compared to that, Ainu Mia has a single target skill with HP condition that deals 173%. So in an AoE spot, Detective Mia looks so far better versus Ainu Mia looks better in single target. Then the second skill for Detective Mia is a non-damaging skill that provides the team with a tier 2 wind damage cut and a tier 3 counter. While of course Ainu Mia has her debuff block. I don't think the debuff block per se is much more worth it, but especially in a single target arena, fire arena, I feel like Ainu Mia just does more damage. In an AoE arena, Detective Mia is better, I'm giving her that, but in the same time, we have Funidodo as an AoE speed boost provider, and this Mia is only really good if the enemy just spams a lot of attacks and deals a lot of damage, where you need the damage block to survive. And with that, I just don't think she's as good as Ainu Mia, which is why she's actually ranked a little bit lower than her. Hope that makes sense. Next one is Darkness, and if we are just going by artwork alone, she would be way up here, but sadly we need to take a look at her kit, and I think maybe strong unit here. First up, of course, let's talk quickly about her kit. She has a random hit that hits 2 times, that deals 169 nice damage and provides your team with 20% gauge charge. Her second skill is a single target skill with an HP condition to deal up to 172% physical lightning damage and a party tier 3 physical attack buff. That's right, a party tier 3 physical attack buff on a skill. And her basic does neutral damage and provides a self-healing. In global, she actually might have a chance to be somewhat usable, which is why I put her in the strong unit here. In a JP version, we just use both Swimsuit Darkness over her because of how nuts of a support she is. The big problem with that Darkness is you can argue like, okay, let's use her as a physical attack buffer for your team to, for example, you know, she comes with Forbidden Chris, right? So you can be like Forbidden Chris, her, and, you know, another unit like, for example, Aqua. She can be the physical attack buffer, but the buff lasts for 12 seconds. She has a 21-second cooldown, so you need 9 seconds of CDR to have the buff up the whole time. Otherwise, your team will not be buffed, and while Darkness could avoid that by just using her ulti 2 and getting the self buff for her team, it's really necessary to have this buff up the whole time. And I think, let me actually double check something real quick. Yeah, with that team I just mentioned, Aqua has 6 seconds of CDR, but it's not enough. So you need to play around the attack buff a bit, and then she can potentially work decently. And again, I think she might get used in global, but she's not like, oh my god, she's broken, you need her kind of tier. Then, of course, the big one, Forbidden Chris. And I think no one is surprised if I put a Forbidden unit up here, right? I don't think anyone would disagree with that. She is 100% meta units on element here. We don't use her off element, so I do think she's a top tier unit per se, or she should be in the meta units off element use case tier. But in Lightning, boy, is she strong. First up, she has a double hit that deals 165% damage 2 times. It has an 80% chance to bind the enemy, which, you know, makes the team more tanky if it applies, so that's pretty good. Her second skill is a single target physical ticks for up to 184% damage, and provides a tier 2 rash red. Decent number, decent damage. The rash red is only for 8 seconds though, so even with Aqua's 6 seconds of CDR, you still have a downtime of 3 seconds on a rash red. Keep that in mind, which is the reason you kind of want to have double CDR together with her. But I don't really think we have a team right now that could do that in Lightning. I mean, good, we have Iris. Aqua and Iris could potentially work, but then again, Iris has no physical attack buff, so you would need to run a team of like Aqua, Iris, Chris, and just survive without a physical attack buffer. Can work, not sure how good it will be, but that's a possibility. And her basic is a 130% lightning elemental basic, and her passive trait is 6% physical attack up, and that's up to 12% if you have 70% or more HP. And last but not least, her ulti. Her forbidden ulti deals 433% guaranteed crit physical lightning damage to an enemy single target. And for 40 seconds, you will have a tier 1 lightning damage buff for your whole team and a tier 1 crit rate buff. I said it right, crit rate buff. It's only tier 1, but it's still noticeable. It's noticeable. You will get a lot more crits than usual when this is up. And to be honest, especially in AoE arenas where you have 4 enemies that you can hit, 4 enemies that you can crit, you will get a lot of crits. If you don't trust me, check out my older videos. I have a few runs with this Chris, and especially AoE arenas. I think I even got a rank 2 finish with her in one AoE arena, just of how many absurd crits you are potentially can get. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Rash Red, great ulti for lightning team, great self damage. She also works really well with her character feint trait, right? If she crits, she gets more gauge back. So use that on her because her ulti needs 150% gauge to get used. So her ulti itself will already restore some gauge thanks to that. And then while the ulti is active, you just hope you crit a lot. And again, you have a double hit, so 2 chances to crit, 2 chances to get the bonus gauge and stuff like that. It sums up over time. It is really worth it for this Chris. So all in all, I think Swimsuit Part 1 is a great banner alone for Chris, to be honest. Darkness is potentially a nice pickup, but I wouldn't say she's a must-have. But Chris though is really good. Then we have Part 2 banner with Lia, and she's a light unit, and yes, I put her in the meta units on element here. Actually, no, I put her in the meta units with off elemental use tier. Let me explain. First up, her kit, of course. It's actually pretty good. I was surprised on how much uses Lia actually got in the GP version, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. First up, she has a 3 times random hit that deals 141% damage 3 times, and provides a party debuff block for 12 seconds on a 21-second cooldown. Her second skill is an AoE Red Shred skill. Deals 105% damage, so not too crazy, but 10 seconds Red Shred on an 18-second cooldown, so 8 seconds of downtime here. And of course, she has a normal basic. So why is she so great? Why do I think she deserves to be so high? AoE Red Shred plus Lia's ulti. What else do I need to say? We used her a lot in Arena, especially to come in, provide AoE Red Shred so you ultis can get your last rotation of skills in. Also, you know, just Red Shred plus CDR from her ulti and a little bit of healing can also be great in pretty much any AoE arenas in the future. Slap a target trait on her, make sure she gets focused down, put as much Gacha support on her that you can, aka Fes Lia and the freestyle Gacha Lia, and you should be able to just use both skills. Second skill again is a nice damage amplifier, especially if you have any kind of unit that has on-hit damage with on-hit damage kind of thing. So for example, Earth Arena, Forbidden Wiz, AoE Arena, if she comes in, use Iris assist, you can provide AoE Red Shred so your other units can do great damage. She can then attack 3 times. Each of that hit will of course trigger the bonus damage, which allows her to actually deal somewhat decent damage. And it's just such a good versatile unit. You can use it at the beginning with the target trait. You can use her at the back of the target trait to tank damage, and just use her as a pure supportive unit that can pretty much just do what Lolisa does, but with a CDR ulti, and sometimes it's all you need to be really, really good, which is why I think this placement is 100% so for her. She's a great unit, and luckily for all of you, she comes with the second great unit. That's right, the new playable unit, Zesta. If you, by the way, have no idea who Zesta is, we so far haven't seen him in the normal anime. We only saw him in the spin-off. He's pretty much the highest priest of Access Church, so he's the person pretty much right under Aqua, if I remember correctly. So he's like a really big Aqua believer, and just that alone makes him a great guy. Totally not a pervert. Nope. But he's a new playable unit, and he will also be a light unit, and oh boy, is he just a great unit. Let's start off with the simple stuff. He has a light elemental basic with a self-heal on it. Great. Again, self-heal, not AoE heal. He has a random double hit that deals 120% damage and a tier 2 agility boost for 10 seconds with an 18-second cooldown, so 8 seconds of downtime. And his other skill is an AoE matching attack skill that deals up to 175% damage if you're above 70% HP or more, and he will provide tier 1 Red Shred EX. That's right, EX Red Shred, which means he can work great with Fes Yunyun, probably the other best light unit that we have on the mage side. And just these two alone make such a great combo. You have speed boost, you have double Red Shred, you have buff, you have CDR, pretty much all you can need for. And then of course we have his ulti. It's an AoE light attack that deals 282% damage, that provides a party tier 1 light elemental damage buff for the team and a self tier 1 light damage buff EX for himself for 14 seconds. So now you not only have double Red Shred, CDR and speed and buffs, you also have a light buff and an EX light buff, which is already such a great core. And to be honest, fitting in this third unit here is really not that hard, since you pretty much have everything covered already. Bonus CDR would be great. Bonus Gacha can work here, but to be honest, you can just slid in whatever and it should work. That's how crazy good this core is. Also, he provides a passive trait of 6% magic attack that goes up to 11% if the enemy has a debuff. And again, debuff, not status conditions, so stuff like defense down, Red Shred, all of that works, aka pretty much has an 100% uptime, and with that he's a great passive trait. The really annoying part here about this, I need to explain this. It's so weird. He shares subs with Aqua and Cecily, right? So far nothing too crazy, but there's one problem. His best sub is Forbidden Aqua because of the high light damage boost she provides with passive. But there we have a problem. Forbidden Aqua is a physical unit with like no magical damage, so you just kind of want to feint trade her into pure physical attack with HP and or defense stats, whatever. But he wants to use it as a sub, and for that you need to put her into magical attack with defenses. So every time you want to use Forbidden Aqua as a main unit, you kind of need to grind her into physical attack. At the moment you want to use her as a sub for Zesta, you kind of want to grind her as a magical attack sub. So luckily we should get Fang Quest skipping soon. Actually, speaking of, we should get it with these summer banners. So the moment Zesta drops, we should already have Fang Quest skipping. So the regrinding is not that hard, but it's still a little bit annoying. I wish we could have like 2 sets to switch between. I would prefer that, but it is what it is. Just wanted to give you a heads up that you need to keep that in mind. And no, Fernando, Chris will not be the next banner. The next banner will be Onsen Iris. After that, we get Forbidden Chris. What does it mean by on element? Again, Konosuba Fantastic Days, especially Arena, the enemy is mostly weak to one element, which means you want to have a team of just one element for that boss to deal with. And for the next arena, next week, the boss is weak to a different element, and you want to make a new team with just that element. So meta units on element mean in their respective element, they are the meta units. So for example, if you want to build a light team, you check the meta units on element here for light units. In that case, you can see, for example, Forbidden Aqua is up there. Fes Yunyun is even more above there with top units. So like these two already should make a great team. And then the third one can, for example, be Halloween Aura if it's more of a magical arena, or just Claire if it's more of a physical arena. And just like that, you have a solid core team that you can run in arena. That's the idea behind this tier. Yeah, TLDR for this banner, it's a really good banner. It's a really good banner. If you have leftover pulls from summoning for Forbidden Chris, I think going for this banner is a really good choice. 2 really strong units, especially for light. And again, Lia is even usable off element. They just work great and are 100% worth your quartz. Now, finally, the last unit to rank will be Swimsuit Claire. And well, I'm personally not digging the aesthetics in this outfit. I know a lot of people, for example, Horror Narrator up there, really likes her design. But luckily for me, she's not that great. I want to be real. She's really not that great. She's really not that great. First up, she's a dark unit. So if you already pushed her neutral damage after her lightning damage, you already good to go. Otherwise, that's the second best element to grind her into. And her kit is, I think, just fine. I'm not sure how I should say it. So first up, she's a pure AoE focus arena, so you kind of just want to use her in AoE arenas. The first skill is an AoE physical attack skill that deals 143% damage and provides a 6 seconds of CDR, but on a 25-second cooldown. So even with the CDR, that's still a 19-second cooldown, which is a long time. Not gonna lie, I don't really think it's such a great skill. Normally CDR skills are on a rather low timer, but this is just too high, not gonna lie. I don't think that is good. But she kind of has an interesting second skill here, because she has an echo skill for a second skill. It's an AoE skill, it deals 135% damage and has a 70% echo 2 instances over the next 12 seconds, every 5 seconds, which, you know, in AoE arena, that's pretty good damage. But the fact that she's a neutral basic, the CDR is in theory good, but alone it's not enough to carry her. Her ultis are great, but, you know, also light ultis, so not great off element here. I just don't think she's a good unit. She took me to pity in JP, and she's a bad unit. So it's 100%, 100% safe bet to say she is not good. You can potentially use her again if you're liking other dark units and you have like no AoE damage, but trust me, she just sucks. Yeah, if it was good, you would grind for her. There you see, people out there who like the outfit. Again, let me repeat the banner orders here. Onsen Iris should drop June 18th. Fes Komekko with Detective Yunyun and Mia should drop June 26th. June 4th should be the date then for Forbidden Chris and the Darkness. And roughly June 12th should be Zesta and Lia banner. And then June 20th could be Claire. I didn't rank another banner after that because first up, I think just having all the swimsuit units included here is a great cutoff. Also, if we are coping here, and I'm coping hard, the last collab in the JP version was right after the current banner. And the next one would be right after the Claire banner. So I'm kind of hoping that we either in between swimsuit units or after all the swimsuit units get another collaboration. That's my hope. That's my hope here. And with that, of course, I don't want to rank the other units coming after the collaboration until we know that we are getting a collab, or if we're just not getting a collaboration on time and we have to wait longer. So that's the reason why this is the cutoff. And if a collaboration is coming, it should be the Bofuri collaboration. So it should be Maple, Sally, I forgot her name, and together with that, Swimsuit Darkness, which would be a great pickup, and Bofuri Chris, which should actually also be a pretty solid pickup here, like these two. So would be really cool if we are actually getting that, because that way we would have a great AoE dark unit and really don't need Claire. When you think the ReZero collab would come be back in global, if we are lucky enough and get the collab every 3 months as I'm hoping for, that would mean in 3 months we are getting Bofuri, 3 months later we should be getting Mushoku Tensei, and then another 3 months after should be ReZero Part 2. So pretty much towards the end of the year, aka in 9 months, or maybe just beginning of next year if my math is not completely wrong. So yeah, could still be a while. But I'm hoping for it. But yeah, a little bit of a different video this time because I tried to integrate my live chat there so people can ask questions, and I'm answering them for YouTube as well because I feel like there are probably a lot of people out there, especially newcomers, who don't understand the tier list, who don't understand everything. So the more people asking me stuff, the better I can explain stuff, and hopefully the more helpful this video will be. So again, if you like this video and do what I do, remember to like, subscribe, follow for more upcoming Konosuba fantasticdays content, and potentially some other games in the future as well, or just a separate channel. Still debating what I want to do here. I hope, again, I'm more active in the future. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Tier list should be up when this video is up on the Encyclopedia. Just go to my YouTube page, and at the top right there should be links to everything important, including the Encyclopedia, and there you have access to everything, the tier list, my guides, the banner timelines, everything. So check it out. And again, if you really like the talk and appreciate what I do and want to have it up to date, maybe consider supporting me on Ko-fi. Again, will probably be Patreon in the future when I do more cool stuff with it, and or like subscribe on Twitch side, become a member on YouTube, or just use the donor links down in the video description. Thank you so much for watching. See you all in the next one. Bye.
だから一緒に行きましょう。いつもありがとう。もしやだって言うなら無理やり